What is popping? I think we're going to start a little bit early. Just a little bit. But I'm not going to start talking about most stuff until, what did I say? 9? I realized there was like 12 people in here waiting with the music. I hope you enjoyed the elevator lobby music, but hope everybody had a great Tuesday. It's Tuesday, right? I'm telling you, when you got kids, got a lot going on, time does not operate the same. I'm not tired, I swear. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Unbound Table, Beyond Monogamy. I am Anthony Tay. A little bit about myself. I am 39. No, pause. I'm 38. I'm not 39 for at least another day and a half. Turned 39 October 2nd. I've been married to my wife for a little over 10 years. Been together for 12. We've got 2 beautiful boys together, and she is the absolute love of my life. So the title of this live stream is I Got Caught Cheating, live Q&A, etc., etc. If you guys have questions, please feel free to ask them. It's kind of a long story, so buckle up. If you have a story of your own to share, love to hear it, obviously. But let me just kind of go ahead and jump into it. So I want to say I got to give a little bit of a backstory first in order for this to even make sense. And so back in, I want to say 2018 is when we kind of started venturing off into different parts of our marriage, meaning we decided that we were going to explore what's called swinging. So if anybody here knows what a swinger is, it's basically a consensual act with you and your partner where you go exchange intimate moments with other couples. So we tried that. And by the way, too, like with swinging, monogamy, non-monogamy, whatever your cup of tea is whatever your cup of tea is. I'm not here to convince you of one way or the other. I'm just here to share a little bit more insight, I guess, into another lens. So like I said, back in 2018, we decided to experiment a little bit with swinging, and I want to say around 2022, maybe 2023. And if you're married and if you've been married for a long time, marriage is tough. Marriage is always going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of ebbs and flows, and it's going to be a lot of ups and downs. And so, the social media age really kind of took over, and it kind of screwed us, I feel like, when it came to as far as being faithful in relationships, because social media offers so much immediate gratification, or instant gratification rather. But that's neither here nor there. But anyway, so we decided we wanted to, move a little bit differently in this lifestyle. And when I say we, I mean me. Me personally, I was a very damaged soul at the time. I had a lot of unkept trauma that I did not address when I needed to address it. I had a lot of personal issues that I was dealing with that I didn't realize I was dealing with at the time. But It caused me to make some unilateral decisions that were not beneficial to our relationship. So essentially, I decided I wanted to start venturing off into what's called ethical non monogamy. Ethical non monogamy is essentially where you and your partner decide that it is okay to have interactions with other people outside of each other. So with swinging, everything is mainly together, but with E&M, things are separate, right? So we decided we wanted to kind of go down that road. Again, I emphasize me, and she hated it from the very beginning. She hated it. She resisted it. She didn't like it. She completely was like, no, we're not doing it. So this is where my toxic masculinity kind of took over, right? So I remember the first time we both spent the night apart from each other. I was with my significant other at the time, and she was with somebody that she had just met. And I couldn't sleep. Like, it's crazy too, right? Because it was my idea, but yet when she started doing it, I was like, hold on. Like, I could not function. I was like in the bathtub and my heart was palpitating. Like, she wasn't responding fast enough. Like, it was so tough because I'm a visual guy. Like, one thing about me is I love my wife. I love the way she looks. I love the way she dresses. I love the way she smells. It's almost like I was envious of her at that moment. Like, I wanted to be there when she was doing stuff. I wanted to see it. I wanted to be in the same room, but I couldn't be, right? Because that's not what we were about. So I remember that night I was like stressed. I was like, man, because she would send me uh like snap. What up, Drew? She would send me like Snapchats, right? Like teasers, but like it went on for a while, like a lot longer than what I would have thought it would have gone on for. And I just remember feeling like this really nasty feeling, and like I couldn't get home quick enough that next day. So I know that's like it's oh gosh, what's that called? Double standard. So like it was my idea, but then when she started doing it, I'm like, hold on now, like I'm not ready for this yet. So I come home, we kind of have like a really weird conversation about it, but like I didn't really have a leg to stand on because it's like I didn't it was my idea to begin with, you know? So like who was I to judge her for what she was doing and not support her choice, right? So that was our first encounter. I want to say back in like 2022 maybe. I might be getting that year wrong. That was a really weird year, but anyway, so we continue this trend, right? And everything's kind of going okay for a little bit. And then all of a sudden, like, it's just not. Like, I realized that, like, with women getting into relationships, it's more emotional than it is physical. So, like, as men, we're very physical creatures. Like, we are visually enticed very quickly, right? With women, it's more emotional. That was the threat to me at the time. I was like, I don't want you being emotionally involved with somebody at the same time I'm physical, because to me it was it I convinced myself that it was different, right? Like I really did. I convinced myself that it was not the same thing. So I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like I really don't want to do this anymore. Reluctantly, we made the decision, and she was like, okay, fine, like we won't do it anymore. And I was like, all right, cool, bet. So we made the choice, and then we're supposed to go on a trip to Mexico like in a day, right? So we have made a unilateral decision, not unilateral. We made a joint decision to not talk to our significant others, not talk to the people that we have been talking to, right? My intuition isn't always that on, but something told me just to ask. I'm like, hey, like, when's the last time you talked to so and so? And immediately I could tell it was off. And she was like, yesterday or the other day or whenever it was. And I was like, ugh. So like in hindsight being 2020, right? Like it wasn't that serious. I think the seriousness of it was that we decided that we weren't going to talk to these people anymore. And, you know, whatever. So that happened. We went to Mexico. That Mexico trip was all but ruined because obviously I got in my feelings and I couldn't get out of it. And I know if you've been listening for the whole time, this was all my idea. So it's like, how are you getting so like stressed out about something that was your idea? I'm getting to it. So obviously Mexico was all but ruined. And then we got back and like everything was pretty okay for a little bit. Then I was like, something in me was just not okay. Like I said in the beginning, like I had some pretty significant unhealed trauma, and I was just kind of like, all right, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to deal with this? Now, something about me, when I have to deal with trauma or when I have to deal with something on my own, I do it just that way. I do it on my own. I don't ask permission. I don't ask other people. Like I will do what I have to do regardless of how it makes anybody feel. So I started talking to my significant other again. I let her know. I was honest with her about it. I told her, I was like, hey, like I'm talking to so-and-so again. Just letting you know, right? She kept asking me, is it romantic? And I'm like, no, because for a while it wasn't. That was the truth. Like for a while it wasn't romantic, and then it became romantic at one point, and I didn't tell her that it was romantic. So my job, this is I don't want to say this is the good part, but this is like the part that I think everybody is kind of here to hear. So my job at the time afforded me many great opportunities, right? Uh, in the line of like executive protection work, and so I took that opportunity. There was a show coming up in Miami, and the girl I was talking to at the time was in that show, and I'm like, all right, bet, let's just go to Miami. But obviously, I couldn't tell my wife that. I couldn't tell my wife like, hey, I'm going to Miami with so and so because we're not doing that anymore. And so I told her, I made up this whole story. I think I don't know who I said I was guarding. I think I said I was guarding like some really high end individuals. And I was like, I'll be back in this many days. So like everything's okay. Like we've kind of recovered from Mexico. We've recovered from that issue. And then I go to Miami. Well, I get to the airport. The girl that I'm seeing gets dropped off. And like everything's fine at the airport. Like no nothing, right? No questions, no, just, hey, have a good trip, be safe, whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. So we're in the air, and the plane that we took had really good Wi-Fi. So obviously I have this trend where I get on the plane and I text her. I'm like, hey, I'm on the plane. I got my phone. I got Wi-Fi. We're talking, having conversation, and all of a sudden she texts me. She goes, hey, I got a question. I was like, shit. Like in my mind, I wasn't prepared for what was to come, but I was like, all right, I've got to figure out how to divert all this stuff. Like, okay, what's your question? She was like, is so-and-so with you? And in my mind, I was like, how can I spin this to where I can still admit that she's here, but not for the reason that I'm here, right? Mind you, my wife thinks I'm going to Miami for a business trip, not to spend time with this girl that I'm talking to. So she starts asking me questions. She's like, is so-and-so with you? I said, no. Why are you asking me that? Because I'm trying to figure out what she knows, right? And she was like, well, she just posted a picture. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, like she's on the plane, but like she's not with me. Like, what? So, and this is one thing I will say that I've learned over the years. A woman's intuition is something that I will not ever doubt. There's something weird about it. There's voodoo behind it. There's something extremely, extremely terrifying about a woman's intuition, right? Because once they're onto something, they don't let go of it. It's not gone. They'll never get off of it until they see it through to the end. So anyways, I was like, yeah, but she's not here for the same reason. I said I think she's here with somebody else. Like she was on the plane with somebody else. So naturally, she goes to Instagram and starts looking at all these people, and she's like, "You mean these people?" I'm like, "No, she's not on it." Like, I'm trying to roll with these questions. Like, and truth be told, she gave me plenty of time to tell the truth, but like, I wasn't in like, I couldn't do it at the time. Like, I was caught. I knew I was caught, but I was caught off guard to where I was like, let me see if I can still kind of like finesse my way through this conversation. So she starts asking me, is it this person? Is it that person? I said, no, it's none of those people. Stop asking me questions. So I started gaslighting like real hard. I'm like, you're crazy. You sound nuts. Like, how are you supposed to trust me? This is how we make, I feel so bad. I like relived this the other day because I like went to look for something in my iMessages, and like I went and reread the conversation that we had. Anyways, so I was like, this is how I make money. Stop bothering me, blah, blah, blah. Like, gaslit her to no other. And I was like, you need to stop tripping. And so at this point, I have gaslit her into thinking that she is not here for the same reasons that I'm here, but rather she is there for a different reason, right? So in my mind, I've successfully convinced her of all that. I'm like, she asked me for a picture. That's what she did. She asked me for a picture of her and her friend. In my mind, I'm tripping. I'm like, let me just see if I can find a random girl to be like, hey, can you take a picture with her real quick? But then that would have tipped her off as to like, why are you making me take a picture with a random girl? So I was like, I'm on the ground. I've got to go to work. I can't talk about this right now. So I get to the hotel, and I think in my mind, I'm like, okay, I've made it past like the worst of this. Like, I can now just like coast or whatever. Like, she believes that I'm here for work. She knows that so and so is here. She knows that, she knows all this stuff. So we're good. So finally, I'm like, all right, let me just kind of continue with this process. So then she hits me up later and was like, hey, is so and so at the hotel with you? And I was like, no, like, why do you keep asking me these questions? She was like, well, she just posted a picture of her at this hotel, and it's where you're at. And I'm like, how would you even know that? She took a picture and she saw a pillow. This is when women get it in their mind, and men too, but when women specifically get shit in their mind like this, like, there's no stopping them. She was like, she took a picture of a pillow, so she Googled the furniture outdoors at the pool on the website or whatever, and was like, it's the same color. I'm like, no, she's not here. Like, blah, blah, blah. I was like, she's not here. It's just a different. I was like, I think I convinced her that it was a different hotel, whatever. So she kind of lets it go for a minute. So finally, I do tell her, I'm like, hey, I'm going to I think it was Kiki on the River. I was like, we're going to go to Kiki on the River. I'm going with so and so and her friends. Like, I told her all this. Mind you, she still thinks I'm in Miami for a work trip. She does not know that I am not working at all, right? Here's where the bomb kind of like drops. So this whole time I'm talking with my wife is talking to our mutual best friend at this time, who is both friends with myself and the other person that I'm seeing, and she has both of our locations at the same time. So my wife knows way more than she's leading on, but she's letting me kind of chug down this path and get down this hole of like, let me see how far I can get him to dig before I pull him out, right? So we went to Kiki on the River. She knew I was there with so and so. Meanwhile, she's talking to our best friend this whole time, who sees where we're at. And unbeknownst to me, the girl that I'm dating is also texting our mutual best friend stuff that she is not supposed to be texting our mutual best friend. So all of these things are starting to come together and fall down on me at the same time, but I don't know it. Like, I'm so oblivious. I think I've won. I think I've got the upper hand. So we get back to the hotel after dinner. I called my wife and I was like, hey, I'm back from dinner. I'm about to get ready to go on. on is what I would say when I was getting ready to like start my detail. And then she was like, all right, I'm gonna call you. I was like, all right, cool, call me. So she called me and she was like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And it was a normal conversation. Like, it was a very normal conversation. This was like maybe 10 o'clock at night. Then she hits me with the most like thought out, like, what tripped me out the most about her reaction was her, like, how calm she was, right? Like, it's like how, like, as men, I feel like we're so emotional and we're so like aggressive when we get mad. And women can be that way too, don't get me wrong, but the most dangerous ones are the ones that stay calm and quiet. I'll stay with that until I'm in the grave. Like, if you can keep your composure through something that, mind you, we've been married 9 years at this point, have 2 kids together. Like, this is a big freaking deal. If you can keep your composure that well during such a dramatic situation, I fear you beyond what I fear anything else. I would have much rather her yelled and screamed and gotten mad and called me out. But no, she was so calm. She was so quiet, so composed, so everything. Sent me this long message. Then she followed it up with the screenshots, which was what my girl that I was talking to at the time was texting our best friend. And then what she was texting my wife. And I'm like, well, I can't even, there's no way I can backpedal my way out of this. She knows I'm not here for work. She knows I came straight for this girl. And she knows that me and her have now been dating for at least 2 weeks. And we were, you know, it was just one of those, things, man. Like, I was caught, like, and I couldn't back out of it at this point. Like, it was already so bad and it was already so deep that I was already like, she had me what they call dead to rights in law enforcement, right? Like, there was no way I could argue any other point. So mind you, we got to Miami the same day. I have not slept yet. First of all, I called her incessant, like obsessively. I think I called her like 15 times. And she wouldn't pick up the phone. And anytime she did pick up the phone, she wasn't mad. She wasn't crying. She wasn't nothing. She was quiet and like calm and composed. Didn't care what I had to say. I was apologetic. I was the dog in the doghouse, right? Like, but she was just so calm. I shit you not. I got a flight that next morning. I didn't sleep. I went straight from the hotel to the airport. The girl that I was talking to was obviously pissed, and she got her stuff, packed it up, left the hotel room. We didn't speak really much after that. We spoke briefly because she stayed at the hotel that we had, which, by the way, the most shady thing she did in that situation was run up a bill on my card that was on the room. Whatever, city girls will stand up if that's what you think. But that was one of those things that if you knew the relationship prior to that pissed me off. But that was the least of my worries at the time. So I got home, and obviously we start talking. Like, we're, you know, in the moment, like, you're upset, you're frustrated, you're trying to work through the emotions. But like, she was done. Like, she was completely over it, completely past it. And I didn't have much else to say. I was just kind of like, I'm sorry. Like, I was like, ask me whatever you want to ask me and I'll answer the question truthfully. And so we talked for about 2 or 3 hours. And the end of that conversation was just like, okay, like, we'll try to figure this out. Because I basically asked her, I was like, give me 30 days. I'm like, if after 30 days we can't figure out any sort of resolution to this, then I'm not going to stand in your way. Like, I'm not going to stop you. So that was the big implosion moment in our E&M journey, in our ethical non-monogamy, because that wasn't ethical non-monogamy. That was just non-monogamy. It was cheating. And so, to be clear with anything, like, I don't glorify or condone that type of behavior, right? Like, I really just don't. It's not good behavior. You end up in a place like, I went back, this was 3 years ago. I went back through our messages, me and my wife's messages, yesterday or today or something, and it's crazy how the brain works. Like I honestly was transported back to that time. I went right downstairs, gave her a big hug, gave her a big kiss. I was like, hey, like, I'm really sorry, by the way, for what happened 3 years ago, because it made me feel the same way I felt before, which is like, I need to fix this. Like, I need to do something. But anyways, that's the big story about how I got caught cheating. What did I learn from it? I learned a few things. I learned that women's intuition, again, is a very, very scary thing. I learned that the environment around infidelity and the environment around society in general, when it comes to social media, when it comes to, faithful relationships, anything like that, like, I feel like it is really, really hard to keep a straight and narrow path. And first of all, like I said, like, monogamy is something I used to believe in. I believed in it at one point when it came to, when I got married, but there's things that happened between getting married and this point that have just caused me to kind of disconnect from the monogamous phase of my life, I guess. I'm not going to air out any dirty laundry from before any of this, because it's something that we've rehabbed really, really hard, and it's not something I really wish to have like aired out again or have any questions about, anything like that. But when it comes to who I am now, I believe that monogamy is a very, very difficult task. I believe monogamy is easy to do for a specific period of time, and then at some point I feel like it's just harder to maintain, right? Because what happens at the at that breaking point, or that point of impact in a relationship, where you are like, okay, like, I'm really over this person's shit, I'm really over this, I'm really over that, like, I'm really over pretty much all of you and everything. Like, I'm either going to go out with my girls, I'm gonna go out with my dudes, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna go do that, whatever. And next thing you know, like, all these people that have their significant others posted all over their social media are no longer posted anymore. Why? Because they got pissed off that they didn't do the fucking towels or something like that. And so now they're going to go, seek exposure and seek this and seek that. And it's like, with men and women, we do it differently. Men, most men will kind of like go out and search for attention in a situation like that, where women just invite it. Because when girls have a girls' night and guys have a guys' night, they're two totally different things. Guys are not walking into a marketplace of opportunity. Women are walking into a marketplace of opportunity. It is very easy for a woman to gain that attention and gain that exposure back versus a man having to do it. It just looks different. But off track of that, what did I learn in my situation is just that our alternative lifestyle works for us, but it doesn't always work the same way. We've evolved and we've bobbed and weaved through this relationship so many times that it's like you reinvent yourself every time you do it. At this point, we're at a really good phase. Like, but like, just, I don't know, this year, like, I moved out, I got another house. Like, we were separated for a whole 3 months, and I what I'm learning is that relationships are never going to be consistent. Relationships are going to be like water. It's always going to move. It's going to shift with the environmental factors. Like, it's never going to be what you think it is. So what I've learned to do, kind of in my mind, is, one, I've learned my wife's communication process. Like, how does she like to be communicated with? How does she respond to communication? When can I communicate with her? I've also adapted my communication style because I am what I would consider fairly articulate and fairly literate, and I need resolution, right? Whereas she needs time. So instead of trying to change her, I've just adapted to it, and she's adapted to me, to where we can now manage each other efficiently and effectively without much of an issue, really. I would say at least over the past like month and a half, 2 months, like we've reached a really great space, and like I'm really happy with where we're at. But like it's been 12 years, you know what I mean? Like it's been 12 years, and we've gone through a lot. We've gone through it all. And when I say monogamy is just not for me, monogamy is not for me in the current marriage that I have. The current marriage. Hello, don't come for me. That was not a TikTok trend. Monogamy is not for me in my marriage as it stands today. Meaning, we have evolved in our relationship to where monogamy is extremely hard for us to maintain and keep. We've spoken very hard truths to each other. We've spoken very, I don't want to say damaging truths, but it can be damaging if you're not in the right mindset. And we've just learned how to deal with each other. And I think that's the most beautiful thing that we've ever learned about each other, is to accept each other for who we are instead of trying to fight it. So yeah, that's kind of my story. I think one of the other things I was going to kind of go through or mention is monogamy versus non-monogamy, and then also like what differentiates it from cheating versus not cheating. It's kind of simple. Monogamy is what it sounds like. It's just two people together. That's them. Non-monogamy, it can mean a lot of different things, but what's the difference between that and cheating? Cheating is when you don't tell the person what you're doing, and you lie to them about where you're at. And like you say you're in Miami for a work trip, and you are not in Miami for a work trip. You're in Miami with your girlfriend at the time. That's the difference. I think more and more people are starting to kind of like jump on the trend, I guess, of non-monogamy or like swingers, but they just don't acknowledge it as that. I know a lot of people out here stick and move anyways. Like you might as well just try to open up your relationship. The way me and my wife figured it out was that like, okay, we've spent 12 years building a legacy. We've spent 12 years building this. Like I love my wife. She's my favorite person in the whole world. Like I sleep better with her next to me. I trust her like with everything and anything. She's the first person I run to and tell everything and call when something happens, whether it's big, small, stupid, or dumb. Like she's literally the best person I know. Now, when it comes to like physical interactions, again, I'm a dude. Like I see people all the time and I'm like, okay. And she's the same way. Like she's the same way. And luckily I've married somebody who is very comfortable with her sexuality, and she's comfortable engaging in those moments with other people. And it's something that makes me happy. Like I really do enjoy it. I enjoy doing it with her. And that's where we've settled. Like we've settled on, having those interactions together and enjoying those interactions together rather than doing them separately. While there is a benefit to doing them separately, you just really never know what's going to happen. Like you never know what's going to evolve from that. And you just, jealousy is the fear of loss, and it's the fear of losing something, right? Like it's a fear of losing, love or companionship or whatever. So like when you talk about non-monogamy in that sense, like two of our best friends do it. Two of our best friends have been dating. So they've been married for, I think, 10 years, and they have been dating they call it their SSO, their second significant other, for like over a year now. And to me, it's interesting to watch them interact. They interact very seamlessly. Like they'll all be at an event and it's like they're all together, but the 2 second significant others don't really interact with each other. But the married couple interacts with each other and their second significant others. It's very interesting to watch. I just don't think I could do it personally. I learned that through our journey with E&M the first time, where I went off on my own and she went off on her own. And there was a piece of me that was like pulling. I was like, no, like I need to be there. Like, I need to see it. Like, again, like I said in the beginning, like my wife is my favorite person. Like I like to watch. I'm a watcher. Like I like to watch. I am what's called compulsive. It's not suffer. I have compersion, which means that I like to enjoy my wife in that capacity and in that situation. Like, I don't sit in the same room when it happens most of the time, but like, I'm usually doing something like on my own, like with somebody else, but like I enjoy that situation with her, and that's because I don't confuse possession with passion. I don't have a possessive nature. I've been called weird things because of it. I've been called a beta. I've been called some other choice words, but those people are also people that hit their wives. So I don't really take that energy and do anything with it because it's just nothing. Like, you can't tell me who I am whenever you can't control your own emotions. But like, yeah, man, like if you take anything away from this, first of all, I don't glorify my choices. Second of all, take away that when you're married to somebody and you both decide to open up to each other in a way that is somewhat taboo, and then you reach a point where you finally hit that plateau and you're like, man, we finally found something that works, and it's not rocky, it's not uncertain, it's not unsure, and it actually makes sense. It's the most beautiful and relieving thing that you can feel. After 12 years, like, we finally reached a mark where everything feels good, everything feels right, everything feels solid. And I'm sure in a year we'll have to readjust to some degree. I mean, again, marriage and relationships are never going to be stagnant. They're always going to be fluid. But yeah, that's my story. That's my how I got caught cheating. If anybody has any questions, I'll leave the floor open for a little bit, maybe for, I don't know, like 5 minutes or something like that. And if anybody got a question, I am not a relationship expert. I am 38 years old, soon to be 39, been married for 10 years, together for 12. And we have done everything from monogamy to non-monogamy to swinging to cheating on each other in both ways. Me on her, her on me. So that's my experience, and I'd be happy to share that experience with anybody that has any questions. Like I said, I'll open the floor for at least the next 5 minutes for anybody that's got a question. Don't be afraid. We're all human, and it's okay. On the next show, I know exactly what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the difference between essentially men and women when it comes to like relationship styles, because I have noticed how different we are in the people that I've interacted with. I just find it extremely interesting how we all approach relationships in this lifestyle. Sorry, let me clarify. In the lifestyle that we're in. So that's what we call it, by the way. For anybody that doesn't know, we call it the lifestyle. So for us, we see everything. Like, we see doms and so. Oh God, that's a fun story. All right, bet. So let me go on this real quick. If you got questions, go ahead and pop off and ask. But if not, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about something else real quick. So everybody's different, right? I said that. We met this one couple. I say we met them. So we're on an app called 3Fun, 3F or whatever. And we met this one couple. They seemed real cool. They seemed real chill. We all talked together. We all had really good conversation. And this was around like New Year's of last year. And so they start telling us about their relationship dynamic. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, it's a traditional Dom sub. She sub, he's Dom. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I can kind of play that role sometimes depending on who I'm with. But then we start talking about like permissions, because that's one thing you do, like when you know you want to interact with a couple, like you talk about like what's off limits, what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do, so on and so forth. So we start asking the questions, and this girl goes, oh gosh, I don't even know the context, but she was talking to me and she was like, oh no, you're going to have to ask daddy. I said, first of all, I'm a grown man. I'm not going to ask daddy anything. I'm just simply not going to do that. That's when I got the ick, right? I got the ick, not because of what she said, but because of how the conversation like kind of progressed from there. And then we start talking about we hosted a New Year's Eve party, and we start sending out like the kind of like what's supposed to happen, like the attire, all that stuff. All of a sudden, here he come in with this big opinion of the attire, like how people are supposed to dress, how they're not supposed to dress, blah blah blah. I was like, I don't think anybody asked you. Like, when you go to a party that you're invited to, like you don't give feedback to the host and say, hey, you know what? You shouldn't make people wear that. First of all, I didn't make anybody wear anything. I just said for the first half of the night, we're going to be formal. Why? It's New Year's Eve. 2, because it builds anticipation. Because after it was formal, it was lingerie. I'm so excited about this weekend, by the way. This weekend's my birthday, and I am extremely excited to enjoy not only my family, but my friends as well. I got sidetracked real quick. Welcome to having ADHD. Anyways, so New Year's Eve was a great event, and everybody was formal in the beginning, and then all of a sudden, after midnight, they changed it into lingerie. This dude goes off and was like, you shouldn't do that. People should be able to express themselves. I'm like, express yourself away, but just express it formally. It was a real conversation that we had. Anyways, that conversation went fine. I know how to diffuse. I know how to deflect, and we did that just fine. And then they came to the party, and everything was great. Next thing we know, they blocked us. I have no idea why. We've seen them twice since then. Haven't spoken a word. It was a really weird interaction, a very odd interaction. But anyways, next time I'm going to talk about the differences between girls and guys in a relationship, and I'm going to talk about the best and worst experiences that we've had in this lifestyle with other couples, what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and we're also going to talk about jealousy. So jealousy and how to kind of overcome it. You're never going to get over it, but you can manage it in a way that's healthy and it's not completely damaging to your self-conscious or your ego. But yeah, I think we're solid for the night, guys. This was a good talk. This was a good chat. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the topic of conversation. Tune in the same time. We're going to do 9 p.m. next Tuesday. So next Tuesday, that is going to be, what day is that? Next Tuesday, October 2nd. We're going to do this again. We're going to talk about key differences between men and women in the lifestyle, our best experience in this lifestyle, our worst experience in this lifestyle, and jealousy and how to kind of like overcome it, ride the wave, and not let it completely destroy you. As always, I've always wanted to say this because I've never actually been on a live stream. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share. If you have any feedback, like I said, guys, if you want to leave a comment, if you didn't get to it tonight, go ahead and share that comment with this video. I'll post it later so that way you guys can comment on it later. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.